Okay, so now we are going to study about the use of subcooler and also the regenerative heat exchanger. Okay, so firstly we are going to talk about the use of subcooler. For that I need to draw the diagram for explaining what is subcooling process. Okay, so subcooling actually means cooling the refrigerant below the saturated liquid line. Okay, so I am drawing the pH diagram over here. Again, the shape of dome in pH diagram is like this, and we are having two pressures. These are the two pressures involved. This is the compression process from 1 to 2, and this is the Tk temperature, and this is T naught, the evaporator temperature. Okay, now we know that from process 2 to 3 the heat rejection takes place in the condenser. So now what we do in the subcooling, we actually cool the liquid below this saturation line uh, at some degrees. That can be around 5 degree Celsius. That much is sufficient. Okay, so let us say we cool it to this point. This was initial case, and we subcool it to 3 dash point, and later we do its throttling and we reach here 5 dash, and this was the original 4. Okay, so the dryness fraction over here was, let us say, x, and here it is x dash. So surely x dash is less than x. That means the content of moisture present in the previous case, that means at 4 was less, but now it has increased because we are moving close to the saturated liquid line. So the liquid content has been increased, or refrigerant liquid content has increased. Okay, so now you might be thinking, why did this subcooling? You can very well tell by looking at this diagram by yourself. Okay, so let us extend these lines. Now what does these line 4 to 1 indicate? It represents the refrigerating effect in the particular process. Now we see that due to this subcooling, the refrigerating effect has increased from 4 to 1 to 4 dash to 1. That means now we are having the refrigerating effect as H1 minus H4 dash, which is greater than H1 minus H4. So actually due to subcooling, our refrigerating effect has increased, and the compressor work that has remained the same. So this is the benefit, that using of subcooler actually increases the refrigerating effect and in turn the COP. Okay, now how this subcooling is done? The subcooling is mainly done to decrease the temperature of water that is entering inside the condenser. Okay, by some degrees. Okay, and it is installed between the condenser and the expansion valve. Okay, condenser is present over here, and this throttling that we do from process this is the expansion valve. This is done in the expansion valve. So between these two we install this subcooler. Okay, and the effect we have already discussed. Now what are the various methods? The various methods can be that we know that we reject heat in the condenser, and prior to that we have the compressor over here. Let us make this as compressor, and before that we have the evaporator over here, and here we have some expansion device. Okay, and some cooling water circulates in it. Let us mark it as green light. This is the cooling water that is circulating in the condenser. So what we are doing, that this cooling water first goes to the subcooler. So let us say that after coming out from this condenser, the water that comes out over here, it comes in contact with this cooling water. This is the cooling water circulation. So the cooling water removes heat from the condenser. Now if somehow this cooling water is made to come in the contact from the water that is coming out of the condenser, so let us say it is coming from here, and let us say this is also a heat exchanger. Okay, so what is happening, the cooling water goes from here, so it comes first in the contact with the water that has came out of the condenser. Okay, and it has exchanged the heat. That means it has performed the subcooling, and after that it goes to the condenser region to take the heat and then goes out. Okay, so this is one way in which the subcooler can be used. Now what is the actually there is one disadvantage of using the subcooler in this way. What is the disadvantage? That we see that now the water, after taking heat from it, after cooling the water that is coming out of the condenser, now this water is warmer than the previous water if it has not taken the heat from here. Okay, so now the actual temperature of the water that comes in contact with the condenser has actually increased. So this increases the bulk of compression, and which is not desired for us. Okay, so the effect of subcooling is being offset by the increase in the bulk of compression. Now what we can do to prevent that, what we can do, we can actually take that, let us say these are the condenser coils, and let us say these are the subcooler coils, and so we can flow the cooling water through this in between. Okay, in between region, that is between this region, that means we can flow the cooling water to parallel to the both the condenser and the subcooler. In that case, however, the degree of subcooling will be small. That means that the amount or the temperature drop further this saturated liquid line would be small if we install these in a parallel manner. Okay, so this, and other than this, there would be the added cost of the subcooler, and pump work would also be required for circulating the water, so that will increase the cost. Okay, now to increase the cooling water efficiently, that means this cooling water that is circulating, to use it efficiently and keep the inlet temperature of cooling water near to the condensing temperature, what we do, we can think of actually combining the function of subcooler and the condenser in a single system, and this can be done by slightly oversizing the condenser or increasing the size of the condenser. Okay, so now here comes okay, so this was all about subcooler. We will discuss the liquid vapor regenerative heat exchange in the next video. Okay.